welcome back to SPINCast. My name is Sheridan, and today we are joined by Brayden and Bearlight. It's been a minute, but this past weekend, Stay Plugged In hosted the first ever Stay Plugged In Coca-Cola All-Stars weekend. Congratulations to the West Rocket League team and the Northeast Valorant team on their wins this weekend, and congrats to all the All-Stars who, got their names out there, got to meet a bunch of college coaches, and showed off their stuff. Bearlight, how did the behind-the-scenes preparation go? How were the other casters? Talk about Stay Plugged In Studios.
Yeah,
let's go.
Incredible time. Yeah, we invited some of the best in the industry in both Valorant and Rocket League. I know a lot of our team was super excited to welcome on Hercules from the Rocket League side. She's just on the up and up, and so she was super cool to talk to. Just absolutely relaxed. Had a heart of gold. I know we did the cake for UpMind at one point, and she was fully involved with that. So to have her as involved and just excited to be there, excited for the mission was super cool. And got to meet her. Like I mentioned, UpMind on the Valorant side joined his usual duo in Sully, who told me he came out of retirement actually. So this entire talent team was super talented from the get-go. They were super awesome and a pleasure to work with too. Shout out to our watch parties too, for Courage and Tenacity. Those two held it down, and we're watching the stream as well. And obviously shout out to the production team as always for putting on the show and everything else. I thought it went really good. The vibes were definitely high. Everybody was energetic, and it kind of matched it as far as the gameplay went too.
Hey, can you talk a little bit more about the birthday surprise? It seemed like magic on stream. So
yeah, so obviously I had to buy UpMind a cake. He told me when I was about to book him a little bit later in the process, so we had to bring on an extra Valorant caster. He's like, dude, that's my birthday. Oh, give me a second, I'll decide, all this good stuff. I was like, hey man, I'll buy you a drink, I'll get you something, a surprise for you if you come down. And he was like, yeah, we're doing it. So we booked him, he flew out. And in the meantime, I got this idea. I was like, I remember for a birthday of mine, way back in the day, there was a photo cake, and it was a photo of my family or whatever, and then a birthday, and I was like, what if we did his graphic card of welcome, right, and then UpMind on the cake itself. And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna buy a cake. I never was able to put a photo on a cake before. I didn't know it was edible paper or something like that, something weird. But so I went out to Publix, got a cake, went out and got that, and then topped it there, and got to catch him by surprise on that. And by the way, Herc was the one that actually put the photo on the cake, because I was too timid to do it. If I did it, I know I would mess it up. And she was like, yeah, I'll totally do it, and was on board for it. So everybody pitched in for it. It was just a super cool experience, except for the fact that production and everybody else was like, hey, you probably shouldn't light a candle because we don't know what the sprinklers situation is, and rain on all these PCs. Probably not a good idea, but it was still a good time, and to get everybody involved like that is always pretty cool.
Yeah, it seemed like a really cool moment, and I'm sure it meant a lot to him, knowing he had to work on his birthday, but getting to cast a lot of cool Valorant matches.
Yeah, and the content leading up to the event was incredible. I got to speak with a majority of the All-Stars as well as a lot of their parents. Awesome storylines coming from there. Leonie, special shout out to your parents. Dad was a Nintendo All-Star in 1990, so the All-Star blood is running through. As well as I got to talk to Klat's parents, and I'm going to leave out a couple that I can't remember, but we're going to edit this out. And, of course, we're doing the post-match interviews with Tonka T MVP and Phoebes MVP, which you'll see later in this episode. All in all, a great response from the parents. Everyone was super grateful and excited to see them open up the care packages that they'll be getting on their doorsteps here in a couple weeks.
I'm so jealous of the care packages. I wanted one of those mini fridges so badly for my, of course, Coca-Cola. But I'm really excited for everyone to get those, and hopefully we'll see some unboxing videos. I think that would be really cool. So let's go over the weekend itself, starting off with the skills challenge. That was day 2 of the event. Of course, day 1, we did have a college fair. Students could go into the Discord with their parents as well and speak to a lot of different college coaches who were going to be watching the matches this weekend. And so that was on Thursday, and then Friday we kicked off the skills challenge that night. And so this was a little different from a lot of the events and showcases that Stay Plugged In typically does. So, Barely, would you like to talk a little bit about the Skills Challenge, specifically for Rocket League, some standout players, the format, stuff like that?
Definitely. So the Rocket League sign was pretty simple. I actually drew up the formats for both, but for Rocket League, let's keep it simple. Everybody loves a good 1v1 tournament in Rocket League anyways. The idea of the skills challenge was all about having each individual player be able to showcase their skills individually, which Brayden will get on the Valorant side because it was the first of its kind thing, so it was pretty cool. But on the Rocket League side, just straight 1v1s, but overall, I thought it was a great time because we did get the finals we expected. Wavy and Cosmic both of those players, Wavy from the East, Cosmic from the West, and both of them were in Salt Mine 3, which is the biggest 1v1 tournament there is. And so to be those top players in North America and to put on a show for the finals was super cool. But some of the stories really in the Rocket League Skills Challenge 1v1 tournament was the players that you didn't really expect it to really make noise or make a splash like that. I think, for example, Enzo really held it down. Enzo from the Northeast region popped through and got to that semifinals matchup or the finals on that Atlantic Conference side against Wavy and actually put on a show. Came really close to taking out Wavy in game 1 and got 2-0'd, but it was super close throughout. So he was definitely a standout player himself. On the other side, you can say the same with Opbomb. The Opbomb and Oxy finals on the Pacific side, that is, or I guess it was a matchup within it, but it was incredible to see those two match up. And then Opbomb as well gave Cosmic a run for his money. So there was no lack of talent is what I'm getting at. Not to mention, the finals itself did not disappoint. Went to 3 and Cosmic was able to just pull it out, which is actually usually backwards. Wavy's usually the one to take that win. They've seen each other so many times in so many different events. And so it was cool to see Cosmic kind of get his in this one. It was super fun to watch.
You got to question why those two don't team up more often with how dominant they are as players.
Right.
You'd assume maybe same play style and, positive to positive doesn't work, but hey, who knows?
Yeah, and to have two 1v1ers, I guess that's the new meta as well. So, hey, listen, maybe that's something for the future. Maybe they're keeping it secret until RLCS comes back.
Yeah, absolutely. And seeing all of these different players, like we do have the standouts, but even throughout we'll get into this later, but the All-Stars matches, I mean, I feel like I expected Wavy and Cosmic to really stand out, but there were a lot of other players who were really making their mark, and it was really awesome. And so, Brayden, do you want to talk a little bit about the Valorant portion of the Skills Challenge and, Curry's stream and all that good stuff?
Absolutely. So, like Bear was hinting at earlier, a little different format going into the Skills Challenge on Valorant. We decided to, and kudos, all credit goes to Bear on designing this incredible deathmatch format. It was the first of its kind, and it truly put on a great show, I think, in all eyes. I know Upmine and Sully were a little hesitant going into the stream a little bit, just trying to figure out how this was going to work, and Sully went and did the math, and he's trying to figure out all the stuff. But essentially how it played out is we did 3 heats per division, or per conference. 3 heats per conference, Atlantic and Pacific. And we started with the Atlantic side, and Tonka T ended up sweeping the first 2 of the heats pretty handedly in the second one. I think that first one was definitely a warm-up match. 2-point win over Pollux and Leone in the first one, and then took the second one by 6 points over Curry. All 3 of those players, Pollux, Leone, and Curry, holding their own throughout the entire tournament. So it was awesome to see that. And then in the third heat, mentioning Leone, ended up taking that one. A little sneaky performance to sneak into the grand finals there with a 4-point win over Evo. So that was it on the Atlantic side. And then going into the Pacific side, we had Fair taking the first map pretty handedly, if I remember. I think it was a one-man show there. And then heat number 2, we had Sky on the back of a comeback from Fair, almost pulling a Tonka T there. Pacific heat number 3 had Chicken the Lord, a little low-key performance in the first 2 matches, and then coming in on the third in a dominant performance. A long strung comeback when the game was seemingly dominated by Bowie the entire game. Bowie fell short at the end there, unfortunately. Tough run. But then we go into the finals, and on an incredible back-to-back performance from Chicken the Lord. I don't know how he kept that, because there was probably like a 20-25 minute intermission there. I don't know how he stayed warm, but came in, took the 4-point win over Tonka T, sending a message, and then Bowie came in and swept the second game handedly over the competition. But I say that there were 5 people within 5 points from winning the entire game. So it was a close match, but Bowie kind of held that same lead throughout the entire game, so it didn't seem too close. Tonka T came in on game 3 and took the 4-point win, 7-point win over the competition, and came into the game 4 points down from Chicken the Lord. So it looked like Chicken's game the entire time to win. But he ended up coming up short, and congratulations, Tonka T, on becoming the Valorant Skills Challenge champion.
And can you talk a little bit about what happened after the skills challenge on Curry's stream?
Definitely. Curry had all the great things to say about the entire format and ended up inviting Tonka T and Chicken the Lord to a 1v1 server. And they just started 1v1ing each other on the new map. I forget what it's called. Rift, maybe, I think. But yeah, just going back and forth. I guess Curry and Dicey had done it the day before, and Curry liked it so much he just invited the top 2 performers from the skills challenge and kind of talked their way through like what did you have any nerves going into it, and then 1v1'd them. Ultimately, Curry did end up winning both the games, but I think they put on a run for their money.
Yeah, he did. And by the way, at this point in time, me and Hercules were already done with the Rocket League portion, so we walked out to the main studios where that production was going on because we had 2 running simultaneously. Obviously, one for Rocket League, one for Valorant. And so when we were done, we walk up and just a group gathering around because we had all the workers from the Rocket League side also gather around, and we're all just watching the 1v1s, just reacting like, "Oh, whoa, what?" You know, it was insane. Just the energy was unreal. And everybody was supportive too, and Curry. To do that really brings like an S tier experience to some of the players, and I thought that was just something that he went above and beyond to do, and I thought that was super special. That's why I've been talking up the talent in all the watch parties because they absolutely slayed. That was super cool.
What a great bonus. I feel like I would not have expected that. And like, congrats again to Big Tonga T. And this is where we'll throw it to his interview. And so, how did it feel to be named a Stay Plugged In Coca-Cola All-Star?
At first it was very exciting because it was all over the world. Like, it was the top 20 best Valorant player in high school to play, for to compete for $1,000, which is really cool. Like, it was a really good experience for me, especially this tournament. And I feel like after this tournament, this kind of interests me back into the game a lot more because I used to do like right now I'm like least interested in Valorant and stuff. Now like I'm getting back into it because I'm like a very competitive guy. I do a lot of sports in my school, like bowling, volleyball, and like track and other things.
So, from what I'm hearing, is you weren't playing Valorant all that much, and then you come into All Stars and you just dominated.
Yeah, yeah, basically.
Got you.
Yeah, I did skirm like 1 or 2 games with my teammates, but they seemed like a really good team, especially our captain, Leone. He was IGLing like really well and helping the team like as a group to like bond and play better together.
And can you talk a little bit about your predictions? Like, going into the competition, what were you thinking was going to happen? How did you feel? Were you feeling nervous at all? Can you talk a little bit about that?
So I think it was the deathmatch tournament. Like, I was like kind of having some question about if we were gonna win the whole thing or not, because definitely in the tournaments, the South gave a lot of like they had a good firing squad on the other team, and they had like a lot of radiance and like good individual players where they can actually take everything over, like like Sacred and like Sky and like other people. Like I think they're like really good players in rank definitely, but in the team environment, like I feel like Northeast definitely had way more like chemistry and like teamwork rather than like just individual play. We all in the tournament have individual like plays where we shine and like we played well together, And what I really liked was like they trust me on the sentinel role, where I got to take over like two sites rather than like and have my team like focus on one site, especially like on Lotus or Haven, where they relied on me to like give them the calls and like grouping up and fighting together.
Definitely. And then after day one, what was it like? You just took home the championship of the Skills Challenge. What was it like being able to 1v1 Curry on his stream? Were you expecting anything like that?
Definitely not. But like it was such a like it was let me say this. When I started doing my YouTube and stuff, all the thumbnails and like kind of like stuff I did was surrounded with like what Curry kind of did. Like I kind of got inspiration from him, and like I play against him in rank like a lot of times, especially during like all these acts. Um, like I think he realized like he definitely like favored me to win the whole thing because I played against him in rank, and like he kind of had some respect for me. But once I was 1v1ing him, like he was abusing me with his like other like ghost and like other guns. But I felt like afterwards when I was down a lot, I told myself, okay, he's just a normal player. Like I can definitely take him down. And so like I got like two aces on him. I was pretty happy, and like it was definitely not like that far apart where the score is.
For sure. And I know entering, is that map called Rift? Do I have that name right?
Rift?
Drift or whatever
Rift?
the new
Yeah, the
deathmatch
new
map
map.
is.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a cheeky angle. You can sit on that mid fountain and just hold a headshot angle, and as soon as you
Yeah.
swing it, so you can get spawn trapped a little bit. But I think you held your own and you hit some shots that impressed him for sure.
Like I jiggled and one tapped him like that one time. It was
Right.
crazy.
He like
Like
blew up. Yeah.
like also I was recently just I was thinking about making a video about the whole event too. And I've been working on it, and like it's been pretty well. I got a lot of clips from Curry, a lot of clips from my own point of view, but I just don't have the like clips for like the DMs. But it's still like I'm looking forward to like making the video and like posting about it.
That is so
Pretty,
cool. And can you talk a little bit about like finding out that you were a Stay Plugged In Coca-Cola All-Star to then at the end of the tournament being named as the MVP? Like what was that like?
it's definitely unreal. I kind of know I was one of the best Valorant player in high school, but like this kind of like proves that like I kind of am the best in no, America, that I'm the best high school player, kind of. But I'll still stay humble. There's definitely a lot more players out there grinding their ass off to like try to win and stuff. But after this tournament, I definitely want to try to go pro even, and try to play for some team if they're especially in collegiate. That's still in 2 years. So if I can find a team to play for, that's also have the same mindset and competitive, then I would definitely like try to compete and play for that team.
Yeah, and definitely going into your senior year next year. Obviously, you'll have the opportunity to be a two-time Stay Plugged In Coca-Cola All-Star. So fingers crossed. Hope we get to see you again next year.
Yes, yes.
You mentioned collegiate, and I know in the interview after the grand finals, you had mentioned Stony Brook University. You've
Hmm.
been in talks with them. I guess just lay out the land. Like, what do you have next for you as a Spin Coca-Cola All-Star champion?
So I'm really looking forward to Stony Brook. Like if like when that time comes, I still need to like still play the game, and also hopefully nothing happens to me, and still is the player that I am, and continue to get better and better. And my goal is definitely to go to Stony Brook, compete for them, and also get a scholarship from them, so that my parents doesn't have to pay that much for tuition and stuff. And that's like my priority is, if I go to college, I don't want to like I don't want it to be a lot of financial pressure for my family, and So I just want to like do my best in video games and also academic wise, so that my parents aren't um, as pressured as now.
What degree do you want to go for?
Um, I was thinking about like actually like I don't really know because like I'm still thinking. And
So that was our interview with Big Tonka T, hearing about his experience as a Stapleton Coca-Cola All-Star. And now we'll just briefly go over some of the matches, standout games, the Northeast versus South reverse sweep, Wavy versus Cosmic Part 2. Bearlight, take it away.
Yeah, it's Big Tonka T is my goat, by the way, on the Valorant side. But Wavy and Cosmic was the story for the skills challenge. Everybody knew it was gonna be the finals. And it did come into fruition. Although, mind you, it was a lot closer than we thought it was going to be. But that was also, like you said, you mentioned that it's going to be the finals matchup too. Before that, though, Wavy just barely snuck in with his Northeast team, by the way. They were down 3-0 in the Atlantic Conference Finals, and it seemed like that might disappear, like all their hopes and dreams would disappear. And I'm not surprised either. Adrift is on that South team, so, he's won a few lands with Stay Plugged In already. And then Corrupt Kevin just performed like a master, like he's been doing this for years, because he has been. Also, he's excellent story, first of all, prior to everything going on. I know he goes by Kyler in game, but Corrupt Kevin and his principal and his coach, I believe, on Facebook were sharing this experience of the Stay Plugged In Coca-Cola All-Stars, and that's what this is all about, is to create those moments. And he almost created a moment of his own, because he played that series so well, got that team out to a 3-0 lead with the drift, with Saurus on that one too, and a shout out to Cole as well for, he wasn't able to make it, unfortunately, but those three, Adrift, Saurus, and Corrupt Kevin, aka Kyler, were smashing, and they got up 3-0. But unfortunately for them, Wavy was a little bit stronger. But Gababy, Enzo, and K was actually the lineup to get the Northeast their first win before they completed the entirety of the reverse sweep to get to the finals. So even though it was Wavy that got to the finals, really it was off the back of Gababy, Enzo, and K who put on a performance of the lifetime. Just shows the depth of what we have on the Rocket League side. And so they snuck by the West. I mean, they just incredible performance against the Midwest. Opom, Biable, Sazio of the Midwest, we know what they're already doing in their respective high school scenes in Rocket League, and to see the West dominate, well, I'd say dominate, but I mean the Midwest still won a game in that series. But it's still crazy to see how they were able to really band together. With or without S5 Cosmic, they played lights out. Oxy, Phoebes, Collat, Phoebes being our MVP, by the way, which we'll hear from in a little bit too. But, getting to the finals with that team, respective of S5 Cosmic or not, Wavy or not, just shows the depth here. And in the finals, it was, of course, incredible, because why wouldn't it be? Went to 7. The Northeast actually had a lead going towards the tail end of this series, and had match point for 3 games straight, because they had jumped out to that, I believe it was that 3-1 lead. And then the West just turned it up, fired it up. A couple games with S5 Cosmic, like I said, a couple without. Phoebes with a 4-goal performance, rather, in Game 7 to really clutch it out. A couple of overtimes along the way. I mean, it was a spectacle on the Rocket League side for sure.
I definitely want to give a shout out to the coaching staffs from each division on the Rocket League side as well. I know Cora Kennedy was sitting in there setting up scrims for her Midwest team, and I think in that series, if you stretch it out to a 9-game series, they make it more competitive. They were heating up towards the end of it, but especially in the West too, we have Colin Graham from Mizzou. And then obviously Northeast, Victor Gomez from Seton Hall was just a monster, and rooting his team on in the chat the entire time. And South, Josh Sides and his respective team. Just, again, an unfortunate loss from the South. I think, give them back that Game 7, let them try one more time. I think they pull it out, but an incredible, incredible tournament all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for shouting out all of the coaches as well. We couldn't have done it without them, and having their support is absolutely key for, this is the first of its kind, the Stay Plugged In Coca-Cola All-Stars, and we want to continue. We want to put on this show and give these students these opportunities year after year. So obviously could not do it without those coaches.
Hi, my name's Justin Foster, aka Phoebes. I was on the West region on the Coke All-Stars, and we were the champions of it.
Awesome. And so, how did it feel to be named a Stay Plugged In Coca-Cola All-Star?
Felt great just to get my name out there and have people talking about me. And also just to connect with people that I was friends with before, but also play with them.
Yeah, and then heading into All-Star Weekend, obviously you saw the other rosters. What were your predictions for how it may come out?
I knew that we would probably be in the finals for sure, but I didn't know that we were gonna win it, which I was surprised about.
For sure, and seeing those other rosters like Wavy on the Northeast or
Yeah.
Adrift, I know is a common spin name in the South. Was there any hesitation going into the finals or nervousness?
Not really nervous, just kind of excited because just haven't really competed in a little bit, so just back to get back and do it. It's pretty fun.
And can you talk a little bit about how the first day went, the skills challenge, and then we'll go into how the all-star matches went as well.
Wasn't not that great at 1v1, but I didn't play that well, but still fun either way. Lost a really good player. He's definitely way better than me at ones, so
And then
wasn't
how
too
did those
disappointed.
on Saturday, like how did those all-star matches go playing with your team? Were there any hiccups, any bumps in the road, anything like that?
Yeah, first just kind of had to get used to each other for sure because we haven't played together before, but Kalat was also just playing really well, and I didn't expect that because he's a little lower ranked than us, but he was definitely doing well.
Did anyone kind of step up as the leader of the squad?
Uh, I mean, everyone was playing great. I think Kalat was just like keeping the energy up for sure. He was nice. Oxy was just playing really well as well, and of course Cosmic is really good.
Yeah, let's speak to Cosmic a little more. Obviously, you're coming into that roster and going in on Friday into the ones challenge. Cosmic recently ranked #1 in the world on ones. Were you excited to play with him for the first time? Maybe.
Yeah, definitely surprised that I got to play with him, but yeah, he's cool. He's a cool dude. Really good. Obviously, playing with him, and really fun.
Yeah, and then going into the grand finals, were there any nerves? Were you getting over some of those like initial road bumps of not really knowing each other that well? And how did you feel going into the grand finals? Was that something that you had expected? And then we'll talk about the results as well after.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, maybe a little bit nervous as a team just because we didn't think we'd make it that far. Knew we'd probably win the first match just because the 5-up wasn't really there and he had to go, but it was definitely surprising in the long run that we made it that far. But yeah, it was pretty difficult.
Yeah, and then now obviously you're the champion of the first ever Stay Plugged In Coca-Cola All-Stars. What do you have coming up for you next? Obviously you're gonna get that prize money, and as addition to the care packages that we're sending out, what's next for you?
Still just grinding, still just getting better, searching for collegiate opportunities for sure, touring some colleges over the summer and winter break and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, just building my name out there, uh, building my rep, all
And
that.
you're a junior, correct?
Junior, yeah.
Yeah, so what colleges are you touring this summer?
Boise State, I'm going to, and then also still just looking at other colleges for now.
We had talked about that in your interview, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Sweet.
And then can you talk a little bit about, the day that you found out that you were going to be a Coca-Cola All-Star, and then kind of how it felt to be named as the MVP? How were you feeling? Surprise? Did you know it was coming? Anything like that?
Originally I didn't even know that I got selected. I kind of just thought because it took a while, so I didn't really know. But when it happened, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Uh, so yeah, it took a while, but yeah, when I got named MVP, I didn't expect it at all. I thought Cosmic was for sure gonna get it just because he's better than me. But um, yeah, it was. I'm grateful for that. It was cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And the casters had a lot of good things to say about your performance as well during the day. Um, Anything else, Braden?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how did you like the college fair aspect on Thursday? Did you get to chat with any of the programs there?
Yeah, I got to chat more with Doc from Boise, and also look at some of the presentations of the other colleges like Mizzou and stuff like that. It was pretty cool.
I heard he had his cam on. He was in the arena showing it off.
Walking
Yeah,
around with a laptop, right?
yeah.
Sounds like Doc.
Yeah.
Good guy. Good guy. I think that's all we got. Any shout outs? Anything you want to promote?
No, I think everyone can just find my Twitter. It's just Phoebes are on everything, obviously. But shout out Collat. He was really cool. Oxy, obviously. Cosmic, great teammates.
And Brayden, would you like to talk a little bit more about the Valorant matches and how those went?
I would love to talk about Valorant. So we're kicking it off with Northeast and South regions. This one, unfortunately, just did not go the way of the South. It was a 13-0 for the Northeast. You'll figure out why later on. The Northeast was just a monster on Lotus. They had it figured out. They were scrimming, I think, a week before, like when rosters were announced, they were figuring out scrims just a little more coordinated than the South. And Tonka T and Leone were just the stars in this series. Obviously, all of them all stars, but some shone brighter. In the West and Midwest region, in the West and Midwest bout, we had a closer game, 13-8 for the Midwest, taking over the West on split. That one was a much closer game than the score would show. It was back and forth the entire time. Huevos and Sacred on top for the Midwest. Bobstar and Bowie showing out for the West, and Bowie had a couple clutches here that I thought was really going to turn the tides. But unfortunately, the Midwest just a little too strong on all facets and ended up taking the game. So then we go into the grand finals, and we have Northeast versus the Midwest. And this is the Spire Civil War that Leone and Avian were talking about in the interviews beforehand. Just an incredible showing from both teams. First map, we were on Haven, and it went 13-11, almost overtime. Unfortunately, Sacred couldn't clutch up. He had a 3K in the final round of the game. But again, just too strong on the I think it was a C-long take. They just couldn't hold the site, and Northeast ended up taking that game. And then it proved valuable because they ended up taking the second game a little more handedly than the first game was on Lotus. Tonka T absolutely dominated this entire game. I think everyone, watch parties included, Curry was just mind blown at some of the shots that he was hitting. I know Dami on the Midwest was having a monster performance of his own, clutching I think 2 1v2s back to back, both low health. So it was the perfect finals that you could ask for in Valorant because it was competitive all the way through. Every player absolutely had their shot dialed in. And it was just a great watch. But yeah, congratulations to the Northeast and Tonka T, of course, earning the MVP in that series as well.
Yeah, I have to agree. And I think that, one of the things to notice is that even though these are high school players, this is the future of collegiate Valorant in my eyes. If they want to pursue Valorant, they've definitely got that opportunity, at least somewhere, wherever they want to study, right? Wherever they want to end up as a college. They've been really they put on a show. There were very minimal mistakes. I only saw a couple from my point of analysis from Valorant, because I also cast a little bit of Valorant too, and to see them, obviously their mechanics are unreal, right? Their snaps, the way they snap on heads, the way they're able to flick is unbelievable. How they're able to react that quickly. But like their util usage was perfect and on point. Their econ just kept even. Like there was never a time where they're maybe force buying when they shouldn't. There was just so much to really gather in and appreciate about every single one of these players. Even the South, even though they fell 13-0, that can be frustrating, but you still had a few moments to shine there, and obviously a lot of them popped off in the skills challenge too. So it's not like it was all for nothing there. Plus all the players walked away with $250 regardless. So each individual $250, even if you lost that first game. So I mean, that's because being an all-star is truly about being a person in the scene. And so Rocket League and Valorant, both, all of these players definitely number one deserve to be there, and we're excited to see them do what they do best.
And being an all-star is more than just the competitive aspect. We have all of these students who are popping off, but they're also popping off in school. They've got good grades, they've got strong extracurriculars, and they have strong personalities. And so going into a new year, 2024, let's get into some quick hits recruiting advice. What do we want to see more from recruits in 2024? What bad habits do we want to leave behind in 2023? Floor's open.
My quick hit is going to be to compete in anything and everything you see. You can never have too big of a resume packing behind you. You want to give recruiters as much examples of your in-game performance, in-game leadership, any kind of recruitable quality. You want to give them as much ammo that you can. And so being able to compete in a spin event, I know we have Carry to College coming up. That is a big online tournament that you want to be in. Winning that just kind of cements you on top of the spin leaderboards and definitely brings eyes onto you from any recruit. And notably, we had 30 some colleges watching Carry to College last year. Like it's just going to keep growing and growing. You want to be in that tournament. Not to mention any game changer tournament, premier tournament, stream something, put it on YouTube, Twitter. I know you can stream on Twitter now, which is crazy. Like that is just something you want to use to your advantage. Give recruiters something to recruit you on more so than just your VLR, your tracker, or notably your spin profile. Like you need to put ammo behind it.
100%. And to kind of feed off of you, one of the things I heard from coaches is make sure your tracker is active. If it's a private tracker, they don't know how well you do as far as in-game goes, and that's specific to in-game, obviously. And that's something you got to do is make your profile public. But for my quick hitter, to kind of share what I'm thinking about is approach it like an all-star, because we saw on Thursday, I know we didn't touch it, we just touched on it briefly about that Thursday prior to or recruitment day for all-stars, and the all-stars were excellent at this. I got to hop into the channel for a little bit and hear them talk, and the questions they had prepared were incredible. They were about, why should I go to your school, and also being able to say why they should be a good factor within their esports program. Like, to approach it with confidence is always key, and the way that you do that is by preparing questions, by preparing your resume, by preparing to speak to colleges, because in Carry to College, Braden, like you mentioned, there's going to be colleges watching, and also in the Discord server that you'll get to approach. I would say don't be nervous to talk to colleges. The worst they're going to tell you is that they appreciate your conversation and they'd probably move on to the next one. That's literally the worst case scenario. I would say just approach it like an all-star, which means just to be confident, be prepared, have your questions in hand, and approach the new year with confidence.
And like you said, we're going into a new year, 2024, new year, new you. Tighten up your Stay Plugged In profile. Make sure everything is up to date, like your tracker, your GPA. And in 2024, we're filling out that biography section. If you were a Coca-Cola All-Star this year, you better go add that to your profile right now. And if you weren't an All-Star, you better be filling that out as well. Colleges want to know more about you and what you bring to the table. It's more than just your competitive experience. You want to get everything on the table out there, show why you're a good recruit, put all of your extracurriculars and experience on there, and it will go a long way. Trust me, you're not just adding it for no one to read it. It's really, really important to keep your profile updated and always add more things that are on that you've got going on. I feel like that's what colleges are looking for these days.
And then even if you're not a all-star from last year and you're an upcoming junior and senior for next year, well, guess what? You add those extracurricular activities, and then boom, you may become an all-star. Of course, you have to apply first, so we recommend you always do that, right?
Start putting together your portfolio. I mean, I don't have any dates or anything, but we may be opening up nominations earlier this year, so make sure you're getting ready to put your all into the All-Stars nomination form. And like Braden said, we have our marquee recruiting event coming up, Carry to College. We are showcasing games such as Overwatch 2, Rocket League, League of Legends, Valorant, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, so you definitely don't want to miss out on your chance to meet college recruiters and get a strong start on your recruiting journey in 2024. Start the year off right.
Bear, I just remembering from last year, I know Carry to College was probably the most competitive high school tournament I've ever watched. So I'm super amped to be bringing it back again this year. Registration is looking strong. There's a lot of big names coming back. Former champions, former spin, land champions, all-stars, you name it. A lot of people going to be competing in this. A lot of colleges going to be spectating it. Very, very excited.
Yeah, imagine you get to say, and next all-star nomination process that you beat an all-star. It's like, well, Come on now, come on. I was able to beat them and accomplish that. You know what I'm saying? And that would be pretty cool. But yeah, you're right. There's so much talent, right? And there's 5 titles, like we mentioned. I think Super Smash Bros was a little bit of a late addition, and so we saw all of that in the lands that we ran as well. A lot of Super Smash Bros there. So glad to be able to welcome that back too. And I'll be on the cast for that, I imagine too. So unless I get forward to the point, but C2C is always something I love running because I get to talk to colleges and get their perspective. I get to interview them, just like y'all do on a regular basis. So whenever I get to do that, I'm always hyped about that, to get to hear from their perspective. It's huge tournament, lots of skill like you mentioned, but also a lot of great content out there too. Sheridan, you put together that great information packet and videos regarding how to approach colleges, just like I mentioned, how to prepare that resume, all of that good stuff, and that's going a long way. It's really about a learning experience alongside an incredible tournament.
Absolutely, and we're going to be leveling up that content over the next few weeks, so keep an eye on our socials, make sure to follow, and don't forget to register for Carity College. That's all we got for you this year. Have a wonderful 2024, and we'll see you in the new year.